Alright, alright, so we're gonna be going into our first match of the tournament here shortly. Alright, so spotting up here in the top left, we have in the red is our Protoss player, Chance. In the bottom right, we have in the green, our Terran player, it is Sai. Sai has been a pretty impressive player. I really liked watching his games the last time I got to see him. He plays a pretty solid style, just your typical, I guess, like macro Terran style, but he just has a very solid like game to him. He knows when to attack, when to defend. He knows when the sundown just drops, and he really has a lot of tenacity, and he'll stay in games, and he'll micro his heart out to try to get that win. I've never heard of him outside of OSC tournaments, and I even asked him what he plays in, and basically this is it. He just plays this, and he ladders. So he's a pretty good Terran that is relatively unheard of. So I'm always looking forward to seeing what he's gonna do next. He's opened up with pretty standard Drax expand here. And we see Chance opening with a core before his Nexus, which is pretty common for Chance. Chance really likes to play this style. He'll normally get in like 2 Adepts really early on and put on a lot of pressure on the Terran side of the map, which can work out pretty well for the Terran. Or for the Protoss, rather. So Chance should see the timing, and this normally means that you get the bunker before your second gas, or you just keep your Reaper at home. He's not going to keep the Reaper at home this game. He's going to send it across. You should see a bunker coming. Yeah, there we go. Sorry. Alright, so that lucky probe actually gets into the main, which is pretty unfortunate, I think, for Sai, as he will have to bring that Reaper all the way back to catch it. And this will also show Chance exactly what's going on. He knows it's a 1-1-1. I mean, like, the Protoss can probably guess that it's going to be a 1-1-1, but, I mean, if you can stop him from finding out stuff, that's always helpful. So first Adept will come in here. That CC will finish, bunker is in place, and depots are raised. So that first Adept won't get any real damage done, but it's really going to be the second Adept. So what he's going to try to do is he's going to try to get behind the mineral lines and just harass and stop this SCV from mining, stop this CC from building SCVs, and just force Sai to have to deal with it. I'm sorry about my voice tonight, but what can you do? Coronavirus ain't all that is cracked up to, you know? So that Reaper will get taken out. Those Adepts are being really annoying in the natural there. And Sai's really gonna have to wait for a couple of Marines before he can even do anything with this. He has 4 Marines now, so it's gonna be enough to take on these Adepts. But actually letting them into the main base I don't think is great. So chance they could get some SCVs. Alright, he won't shade in. But, I mean, as a Terran, early game you definitely don't want to be losing any SCVs if you can help it. Just Fear Gate, Blink, we're very common build here. We see Banshees actually from Chance. So, unfortunately, sorry for Sai. Unfortunately for Sai, he won't get a whole lot of damage done with this, as this is gonna be countered by this like Blink robo play, presuming that Chance keeps his stalkers in place. But these are kind of across the map, and there is a chance that Chance, Jesus, overextends here and keeps these stalkers on his opponent's side of the map for way too long. They actually will catch up this Banshee before the cloak's even done, so that's gonna have to come home and gonna need to be repaired before it can really head out. Bunker and a lot of Marines here, so these Blink stalkers aren't really gonna find too much damage done. But they're just going to be annoying. Forces a repair on that Banshee. And it's really big for him to even be aware that this is a Banshee play. siege tank on the high ground. And those stalkers are even going to try to intercept the Banshee. Really nicely done here by Chance. Really just completely negating the opening here from Sai. I mean, he has kept the Banshee alive, so he can still do stuff with it later. But he's really lost his biggest timing. We even have shield batters in the natural. Not in the main, but there's units in position. He might build a shield battery there later on. And behind this Sai is just going for, actually a bit of an uncommon opener here, going for the quick third CC. So off of a 1-on-1 tech opening like this, I think it's fine. This of course will delay your extra racks for a bit, so you won't get that like normal kind of like push that we see the Terrans go for early on. But he will get a pretty good economy, and I think versus gateway styles this can do well. It really has to come down to the positioning of the units, how Sai decides to play. Because with the way that we see Chance playing, he's just playing very gateway heavy, only on 3 gases so far. So if we don't see him take any more gases, we know that he's just going to be playing a lot of Blink Stalkers, a lot of Zealots, and you just gotta stay inside your base, really, and just get better upgrades, get better units. Oops. So we see some Zealots here heading across the map. +1 armor is almost done. Stim's almost done as well, and we actually only have +1 starting for the Terran just now, so it's very late from an average game perspective. But he has a decent amount of siege tanks, and he has some wooden mines, so he's probably going to be fine. The most drops. His natural here is kind of not very prepared to deal with this Zealot drop that we're going to see, and Sai is actually going to get caught out in the middle of the map here before Stim's even done too. There's not a huge amount of units here actually, but we will force the bio to come home there with these Zealots. Bunker and the natural will help deflect this. Some wooden mines here are actually going to be really key in helping clean up some of these Zealots. One of them gets dodged by a really nice pickup from that Warp Prism, but meanwhile Chance has dived in on the third base, and there's absolutely nothing here to defend this. I think it's very likely that we see Sai tap out after this. It's a lot of damage done. And when you're going for this economic opener as a Terran, you really need to just play a solid game. It's pretty hard to come back from deficits like this. A lot of SCVs got killed. Now, mind you, he did trade out a lot of his gateway units. He's getting up more gases, so he's gonna progress into a higher tech game now. He's done the damage he wanted to do with those gateway units. Warp Prism even being recalled. But Sai's taking a lot of damage. And that's really gonna hurt him in the mid game here. Especially because Chance has basically been untouched. We should see Chance even taking a 4th base soon, unless he wants to just completely go balls to the wall. Aggro here. Alright, so the Terran is scanned for the 4th base and he doesn't see one, which is a good sign for him. The main issue when you're playing this style as a Terran is that often the Protoss can just out-expand you, and you can't really put on any pressure to deal with it, or else you're just going to take insane amounts of damage from Zealot Rumbais, Warp Prism, stuff like that. So you kind of need to stay put in your base because your army is just not as big for the early mid-game. But it looks like Sai doesn't really care about that. He's not even going to be building a 4th CC here. He's just going to be going for this 1-1 push. And this is going to hit at a bit of an inopportune time, as there is the first couple of Colossus out. Meanwhile, we see some Zealot Rumbais coming in here. But Sai's reinforcements are here to deal with this. Meanwhile, he's coming in over here at the base. A lot of stuff getting warped in, does get cancelled, and that pilot gets killed. More Zealots trying to warp in, that pilot gets destroyed. And this means that this bio will have a bit more free reign here. Base does get cancelled. Meanwhile, big drop actually that I completely didn't see in the natural. We'll kill a decent amount of probes. Themselves in the third base, not doing a whole lot of damage. They get a tank, but it's not really what you want. Meanwhile, the Terran's still doing damage across the map, killing the turret. He was going to lose this drop, but not the worst of situations here. Now, mind you, the Protoss upgrades are doing pretty well now. It's getting +2 armor, +1 attack. But the Terran's actually going to be a bit ahead in his upgrades here, as I don't think we see Chance really chrono boosting his upgrades. Instead, chrono boosting his worker production, trying to cement his economy lead here. But even like just the amount of harassment that Sai has been able to do has kept the worker count pretty low here for Chance. He's not going to have a whole lot of probes to transfer over to this other base. Let's see. But Chance has been using his chrono boosts. There's some of them on the forge now. Set +2 armor, which is a pretty... As long as you're even with the Terran and armor to attack upgrades, your Zealots are going to do really well. These Stalkers really hunting for the medevac. And this Observer will catch this bio army heading out. Decent amount of bio on the map. Just trying to find an inn. And meanwhile, we do see the 4th base finally started here for a Terran player. He will jump into the main base. He's actually going to cancel the +2 attack here. Nothing in position really to deal with this. He can even get the +3 armor as well if he targets that down. And it looks like he will. Really good choice here, I think. He's going to try to come in to fight this, but he can't fight Archons of it Ghosts. They just tank way too much damage for the rest of those Protoss units. So his economy is looking in extremely good shape, as he's just been able to continually harass this Liberator, getting a huge amount of kills here. Drops, doing a lot of damage. We do see Ghosts and Liberators behind us, and even some Vikings, but is this going to be enough? Can he hold on versus this? Tries to get an EMP down, doesn't really hit a whole lot. Not a lot of Liberators here to really defend this, and there's not a lot of bio units here. He's traded out a lot for this economy lead, and he might have traded out too much, as we see the Protoss army is almost double his army supply. He's gonna pull all these SCVs back. He can afford to lose a couple. This Liberator actually doing a lot of damage over here, forcing some Stalker warp-ins. Just not enough units here for our Terran player, really. He needs to keep producing. He needs to take a good fight, and he's going to try with an SCV pull here. Some EMPs going down, SCVs all getting cleaned up, and this Protoss army looks like it will just completely storm through this Terran bio. That's going to be a nice attempt there from Sai, but he just bled off too much for those drops. Wasn't producing constantly enough to really deal with it. And while Chance wasn't able to really play to the longer game, like he wasn't able to keep his probe count high. He was able to keep his army alive, and eventually he just got a bigger army than Sai, and then he heads across the map. And, you know, when you're Sai and you've used so many of your units, like, what can you do? just realized my mic had been muted for most of that. Nice. I've been trying to mute my mic when I cough. I don't remember when I coughed last. So that might have been a while. I'm sorry. As you might be able to tell, I'm pretty sick, so this cast is going to be a bit suboptimal by my own standards. Alright. So anyways, Stargate style here from Chance. It's going to Oracle into Phoenix, which is interesting. I can't say I've seen Sai play the style. He tends to like to play those like gateway styles. So it's interesting to see him playing like, it's almost like he's playing Phoenix Adept this game. And versus a player like Sai, I'm not sure if that's gonna work. I'm not sure if Sai was playing as actively during Phoenix Adept, or if he remembers how to like deal with that. I'm presuming so. But I feel like Sai will be a good candidate for someone that's able to really take on this style. Because we don't see the style very much anymore, and it's because there's a lot of pretty exploitable downsides. But sometimes I think if you're Chance, like this Phoenix Adept style can kind of go into a very scrappy part of the game. He's actually gonna send us Liberator. It's at the bottom of my screen. I can't even read. He's gonna send us to a different location. We'll get scheduled though. I don't know if Chance seen that really. Oh, this Oracle will get locked down by the Cyclone. Should go down here. And it does get a bit of a skid off of the base. We'll see the 4th and 5th racks coming up, but doesn't really see a whole lot. And these Phoenix are really not in position to deal with this. I think he recalled the Phoenix to kill the Liberator, but I mean that's a pretty good amount of work here. Yeah. To deal with this. He was able to force the whole mineral line to pull, which is good. But it looks like we have Sai heading out here. I don't know where his medevacs are, but these could very likely get picked off in a Phoenix. And with no medevacs, push is, well, it's gonna be pretty tough. Anyway, so a decent amount of Zealots out here. Charge is almost done, but not quite. Force fields will come down and delay this push a bit. Do we even have any medevacs on the map? There's one medevac on the map right now. So, I don't know where that is, but he's gonna have to be very careful where he keeps that. He's really playing with fire when it comes to trying to push in here. Right, so Stim will come down. There's not enough medevacs here to heal this army, and that Phoenix will pick off the only medevac. This Bio will try to retreat, but these Zealots are just gonna completely wipe out this army. And yeah, when your opponent is playing Phoenix like that, it's just really hard to push in. You just need to play the long game. I guess he was hoping maybe his opponent was playing a bit too greedy. But, I mean, these Phoenix have been extremely valuable here for a Protoss player. Now, behind this, mind you, that Chance is still going to be playing around a bit of a 3-base economy here. Just going to power up quite a bit before he even takes his 4th. Meanwhile, Sai's 3rd is a bit delayed, of course, because he did go for, you know, a pretty early push. So I think he's going to have a bit of a harder time going into this late game now, especially considering your last whole army. Oh, damn. Thanks, man. I can finally buy my coronavirus medicine. Yeah, thanks. But, anyways, these Phoenix have been really helpful for Chance in this game, and I know like a lot of Terrans kind of find that playstyle of like sitting back very tough, just because like it's not common for Terrans, right? Like Terran wants to be dropping all over the place, they want to be trading at their units, but when your opponent has this many Phoenix, like you just can't do anything. You have to sit back, you have to play the late game, and you know, people will bitch and moan about, oh, like, Protoss Imba, but sometimes you just gotta kind of sit it out. We do have ghosts on the way here and the EMP upgrade here. So, is Sai thinking of heading out again? Okay. If Sai heads out, I think he's gonna lose this game here. We do have a lot of Archons here. I don't believe we have Storm actually on the map. So, but still these Archons are quite tanky, a lot of Zealots here. If Sai can get a good defensive position here on the natural, maybe he can hold us off. Huge amount of battle coming in, some EMPs are going down. All those Phoenix actually got hit, so it means no more lift-ups. A lot of Wintermines are going to get some of their shots off, and that's a lot of the Stalkers actually, or Zealots, sorry, actually killed. All the Archons are going to go down, and Sai took minimal damage from that fight. Meanwhile, Chance threw away his entire army, and 4th base is going to be on the way immediately here for Sai as he realizes that, like, my opponent has fuck all back at home. These Phoenix are going to come in and try to pick up these medevacs, but this might be too dangerous as these Marines are going to try to snipe down some of these Phoenix. With all their energy gone, they're so much less useful for these fights as they're not able to pick up the Marauders or the Mines. Of course, they are still good at picking off these medevacs, but, you know, they just lose so much of their utility here. Now, we do have a lot of Zealots back at home here, so Sai will still have to be careful, but he has a lot of Widowmines, and of course Widowmines are tremendous at dealing with Zealots. He's a decent amount of 1-1 bio here. Protoss is on +2 armor, but no attack upgrades, so that means that the Protoss player is going to have a bit of trouble actually cleaning up the army. They were really relying on these Archons to do the damage, and huge Widowmine hits actually killing a tremendous amount of these Zealots. All their shields are going down. I don't believe we have any Ghosts here. The Ghosts are kind of in the back here. They're not going to be able to EMP these Archons. Ghosts will come up, get some EMPs off, and that means these Archons are going to go down, and that's just the main force of damage here from the Protoss army. But it looks like actually Sai has kind of committed the same error that his opponent made. He attacked in when maybe he should have just waited. All the Widowmines have gone down. Storm is finally on the way here for a Protoss player. He does have a 4th base up, but his upgrades are just not looking great. Fourth base on his way to his location here. +2/+2 on the way. Okay. Sai does this thing that I see a lot of Terrans do, where they just kind of throw down the second eBay, like wherever they happen to be looking. And I don't know why, but it just triggers me so much seeing like the eBay spread apart like this. Up in the main base, 3 more X coming down here for Sai. He is macroing up here, getting into a later game. He has Ghosts already, so he's going to be able to deal with the Storm quite well. I think he just kind of needs to sit back, wait for these 2 upgrades, get a bigger army. But it looks like Sai really wants to kind of take it to his opponents on the back. Big force field coming down, gonna get some of those units kind of trapped there, and actually got a feedback on that Ghost. Looks like Sai gonna go for a bit of a double drop here, as he will move the rest of his units by the rock to just hang out. These units will come over here, and we don't actually see any observers really on the map. No observers actually in the game, as Sai has been concentrating so much on just getting out gateway units. He's just basically trying to survive. We do have a High Templar here at this base, but it's not going to be able to save all these workers in time, and a decent amount of them go down. Sai's just trying to keep this economy in check here. And meanwhile, another drop coming in here at the natural. It's really important here for Sai that he keeps dropping, but he can't afford to be using too many of his units. As we can see, the army supplies are pretty even, so if Sai throws away a lot of his army here in an attempt to deal with the economy of his opponent, it's very likely that we'll see a repeat of Oscape, where Chance just heads across the map and it kills him. Looks like Sai is kind of pushing out on the map. That Warp Prism is actually really low. That could come into play here in this fight later on. So Sai should know that his opponent's heading across the map now. There's actually 2 High Templars in the Warp Prism. Sai really nicely tried to preemptively EMP where those High Templars are going to land. Really quick decision making there, and knowing exactly what's in that Warp Prism. We actually do see another big drop in the main here. And Sai not able to save that, unfortunately. The Warp Prism's really coming around trying to find some damage here. Oh. We'll get an okay storm, but I don't think, from Psy's perspective, that he's really looking for that. I think he was hoping for a much bigger storm here. Now we're going to have a big fight come down here. There's not a huge amount of units, actually. Oh my god, actually, completely wrong. Reinforcements coming in from behind. More High Templars on the way, and a lot of Zealots here to help this army. Now this is going to be a pretty hard choke to fight into. And look at all those Zealots clumped up. These mines are going to get incredible shots off. But still, that's a lot of Zealots coming in here. They have even upgrades with the Terran as far as the armor goes. I believe they have +2 as well. This is +1 actually. But a lot of storms are heading down. All the Zealots have been cleaned up, and now it's a really scrappy fight here. There's just bare minimum units here from both players. No, a big storm actually comes down. Psy not splitting at all versus this. He really needs to pull back and just wait for his next wave of units. A bit unfortunately for him, he actually... Oh my god, huge one-of-mine hit. This is quite the back and forth game, but back at home, Chance has a huge amount of money to work with. Psy's getting another base. But now we're getting into the stage of the game that Chance excels at. This is where Chance is going to get up. We have his Dark Shrine on the way. He has, I think he has 2 Robos. Yeah, so he's getting double Disruptor. So, this style he plays is super annoying to deal with. So, what he's going to do basically is he's going to have a lot of Disruptors with his army, and he's going to continually pressure the Terran. And, basically, he's going to try to fight your army, and then meanwhile, Blink TTs are going to come into your base, and they're going to try to do a lot of damage. And it's going to force your attention away, and he's going to get, hopefully, a huge disruptor hit on your army while you're not paying attention. But we might see a bit of a weakness in Chance's army here if Psy decides to engage. He has a lot of ghosts and a decent amount of bio. I don't know where the rest of his bio is. Oh, it's just back at home. If he regroups and heads out with this army, I think there's a very good chance that he can kind of catch Chance in the middle of teching up here, especially as we see Chance going for like Blink Stalker Disruptor, because he can't really be making a whole lot of Zealots with composition, so his comp's gonna be pretty weak as he's getting up his Disruptor count. We don't see any Liberators on the way here yet for Chance. Huge EMPs blankets the entire army. Oh my god, huge Disruptor balls killing all of Chance's units. Holy crap. I sound like a prepubescent boy. But big one of my shots coming in the army, and Psy kind of blew his big chance there to really come out and deal with this Protoss army. He has a lot of storms, or EMPs rather, available to him to deal with these storms, but we don't see a huge amount of them coming out. Another Disruptor ball comes out, is going to be whiffed. There's just not enough units here to deal with this amount of Stalkers. We do see a drop actually heading down there in the bottom. He's going to try to pick that off, but Zealots are warped in to deal with that. And if we look at the bank here from Psy, he's been banking an incredible amount of money, finally getting up his production here. Another Star Pro come down. We do see +1 air on the way, and I think that's really how you're going to have to deal with this army. You need to play this long game, get your Ghost Bio Liberator out, and play a super slow game. We actually see Blink DTs on the way, so I'm not sure if Psy really notices that. It's kind of hard to really see. This drop actually getting a lot of damage. He actually might be able to kill this Dark Shrine. Not many units in position here. Templar will get warped in, but not before this Dark Shrine will get picked out, or picked off rather. A lot of Marauders and some Ghosts here on the map. It's really tough to fight into these Disruptor armies, though. I think you really need a lot of ranged Liberators if you want to engage these. And we do see Psy heading towards that. And the Spy actually still not cleaned up in the main. Sorry. Oh my god, another potentially big hit there. Oh my god. Psy just can't split versus these Disruptors. He's losing so much of his army. He does have a decent amount of bio left over, and they do have better attack upgrades on this Protoss army, so they can get a good trade here. Almost all these Disruptors have used their Novas. See the Dark Shrine being warped in again. Big fight here. All these Disruptors actually whiffing most of their shots, so he's going to lose his entire Disruptor army, but these Stalkers should be able to clean most of it up. Reinforcement Liberators here on the way, but these Fear Marines are actually like you know, doing pretty good versus these Stalkers, as the Stalkers just don't have enough damage to really hold them off. Now, Chance will force us back to some reinforcements, but more units here from Psy. Can he get a big Widowman hit off? That one only hits one Zod. But he was able to kill most of the disruptors here from his opponent, so that count is really reset. I think if Psy just pushes back and holds his ramps, I think he's going to be in an okay spot. We've been seeing his economy is doing better than his opponent right now, as far as the workers go. His opponent's mining more at the moment, because I think Psy's, yeah, he's really oversaturated over here and over here. But he's taking his 5th base, so his economy will get back to where he needs it to be. But now here's that stage of the game where Chance is going to be really annoying if his Dark Templars. He's going to send these out, and if Chance Psy isn't looking, and especially, oh, there's a turret, I'm run. But even with a turret, these Dark Templars can knock down a planetary fortress pretty quickly. That Observer barely escaping that scan. See Chance heading in here, and he's going to time this out so that his attack hits, and he's probably going to move these in. Actually, maybe just seeing a bit of a chance here to get a good fight. Oh my god. Psy just loves eating these fucking disrupting balls. He needs to go on a diet, man. Right. So kind of a bit of a standoff here. Looks like I think Chance is just going to try to keep shooting these disruption novas in and try to get some damage done. If we don't see a repair really quickly, these Dark Templars are going to completely destroy this base. And that's it. Only loses one of them, so that's a really good trade there. Completely disrupts the economy here of his opponent. He's going to need to build another CC, but there's one on the way. He did recall most of those ults out. A lot of Liberators here. They only have +1, not the magical +2 just yet. Big Disruption Novas coming down, hitting a decent amount of this bio. But there's still actually a lot of Liberators to deal with. I think Chance has enough Stalkers that he can deal with this. Psy really needs to bring up his reinforcements if he hopes to have a good fight here. And we can basically just see continuous Disruption Novas. We're going to be shot out here from our Protoss player. And, like, oh my god. Oh, thanks for the host on this. A lot of Stalkers jumping in here. The bio's actually not in position to really deal with this. Disruption Nova's coming out here. Not really going to hit much, but there's still a huge amount of Stalkers here that are going to clean up this Bioforce. And when you're not fighting with your whole Bioforce like that, it's going to be pretty tough to really stop those Stalkers from killing your Liberators, especially because they're only on +1 attack. Alright, so Psy is going to try to hold the top of his ramp here. His Protoss army is marching up. We don't have any ghosts with enough energy to EMP here, so these Archons are going to be able to tank quite a lot of damage. And last ghost actually gets nipped by that Disruption Nova. And I think with this, Chance is sealed out game number 2 here. Given another Dark Templar coming in here. Psy trying to reestablish his other bases while this is going on. He's going to try to hold on versus this, but this is a tough army to fight. These Stalkers are just going to be able to continue to pick off units here. Hi, Gimus. Thank you for tuning in. I'm not gonna sugarcoat this, like, this game is over. It just really is up to Psy to notice it. Or maybe Chance will accidentally shift attack Q his entire army. You never know. We have a bit of a double chop here. He will kind of buy himself a bit of space here, but he loses that entire double drop for basically nothing. So putting himself in even worse of a predicament. Looks like he's actually gonna try to head out. These Liberators are a bit ahead of the army, so very likely these get picked off by some Stalkers if he's not careful. And for medevacs on the way, he actually doesn't have any currently. Still, no +2 for these Liberators. Like, if you're gonna play this Liberator style, you really need to be getting +2 attack. because it's really not that expensive, and it basically makes your units go from suck to not suck. So it's a good upgrade to get. These stalkers will blink in here, and this should be the last engagement here, as all the liberators will get cleaned up. This huge Protoss army is just going to kind of roll in here. We'll get this, one of the last money bases here for Sai. All he has is this one over here. Sai really, as I said, he is a pretty tenacious player. Just going to try to stick it out for as long as he can. Getting one good fight here. But all these medevacs are actually getting picked off by these stalkers. Yep, the Singapores. That's really weird. Yeah, and there it is. So, Chan's gonna take a 2-0 victory there over Sai. Let's see where the rest of her tournament has ended up. So I believe Farid is not here. Let's double check. Yeah, no Farid. So we'll be heading into our next game soon. I'm gonna do Cham versus Chance. Yeah, I guess again I'll thank Mark for the generous $10 donation. I really appreciate that. I'll invest it in my RSP or something. I'll make that $10 into 10,000 or something. I don't know what those like. They normally have like a bunch of like catchphrases for those like RSP presentations. But like, if you save this money when you're 19, by the time you're 70, it'll be $10 gazillion. That's the power of compound interest. Alright, alright, so Cham's done his game, so we should be starting as soon as these guys decide what maps to play. Alright, alright, so we're getting into our lobby now. Alright, so we're loading into our first game of this best of 3. So rematch from the tournament I did yesterday, the US Open. These guys play quite a lot because they're both fucking demons when it comes to playing these online cups. Cham's actually the #1 ranked OSC Cup player, and Chance is pretty highly rated as well, but I don't remember what his spot is. But anyways, speaking of our #1 ranked OSC player, in the red, our Zerg player is Cham from Chivo. And top left, there's our blue teamless Protoss player, it's Chance. So these guys have played quite a lot in the past couple days. I think they played like 8 matches yesterday in that tournament, so they've really gone for quite a lot of their builds. Eventually it's going to get to a point where these guys are just having to make up builds just for each other. Like, alright, so we see a hatch first here from Cham, really nothing unexpected. Of course, we know the way Cham likes to play. He tends to just play like macro. He'll throw in like a timing or like an all-in every once in a while. But I'd say like 9 out of 10 games, he's gonna just open up hatch first and play a macro game. Of course, this still could be a Baneling bust or Roach timing or something later, but we'll have to see. As far as Chance goes, from what I've seen from him in PvZ, he seems to really like a lot of these like 2-base timing pushes. They're very popular in PvZ right now. I don't think a lot of Protosses really seem to enjoy playing that late game versus Zerg. Yeah, it seems like they think that these 2-base pushes can be really strong, and I mean, I don't blame them. I think a lot of them look really powerful. Like those adept ones, I think are really strong. Eventually, like they'll be figured out, but for the moment, they seem like they're pretty good. Meanwhile, Chance is opening up pretty standard so far. We'll have to wait until that Cybercore finishes to see what gets thrown down. I'd say like yesterday when they were playing, like the majority of the games that they had played, Chance had gone for Twilight into Robo to do a Glaive Adept timing. So we'll have to see if he is able to pull this off again. Okay, so we see our first Adept out now. Getting chronoed out, heading across the map. And you see Twilight Council up. Now, this is also very popular, like just this placement. Because the Zerg generally only sends the one Overlord down around here. So for it to make its way up all the way into the top of the main base here, it's gonna either die before it gets there, or it's gonna have to sack it either way. So to scout this build is pretty hard if they place it in this location, and a lot of Protosses seem to have enjoyed placing it like this recently. And this build is very powerful when it doesn't get scouted, because if Cham doesn't respond with the Roach Horn at the correct time and build just enough Roaches, it's going to be hard to deal with it, especially because this build is not just like build Glaive Adepts and then win or lose. What happens is you build the Glaive Adepts, you attack all the different bases and try to get as many drone kills as you can, and then you follow it up with a powerful push. So you're not all in on the Adepts. Now, Cham, luckily enough, has gotten a scout of this, and he's getting a Roach Horn and he's getting a layer. So we'll probably see him go for Roach Speed to try to deal with this. I think that's probably the best solution. Normally you just kind of get like a bunch of Roaches and try to keep them split between your bases well enough to kill any Adepts that shade up there. But the main contention is, can Cham save enough of his drones so that he can defend the following all-in? I'm not sure what Chance is going to do to follow this up. We do have a robotics bay on the way, so we could actually see something with disruptors coming behind us. From the games yesterday that we've seen a lot of games where Chance would go for an immortal timing with some sentries, and then we've seen one game where he actually went for a Archon drop to follow it up. So this game is going to be something different, and I think this build it's pretty cool in that way because it has a lot of different possibilities. There's a lot of different builds you can do to follow this up. So these adepts are gonna shade over here into the natural. They will meet some zerglings and some roaches, and these ones aren't gonna get a whole lot done. And actually, Chan feeling confident enough. 10 drones on the way. It's pretty much deflected that without any drone losses whatsoever. I think he lost a queen. Yeah, you have to rebuild this one over here. But so now he's just gonna rebuild his drone count. Probably get some more roaches. We do see roach speed on the way. He has a sizable amount of roaches, enough to really dissuade these adepts. But looks like he's just gonna head over here to the third base, which I think that's why the roach speed is so important. And Chan's doing a really good job of just forcing Cham to respect this. Like, he sends the shades down there so they can get all the way up here. It's gonna force the roaches to reposition. Third base on the way here for Chan, so maybe it's not going to be an all-in to follow this up. And again, as I was saying earlier, like, I think that's what's really cool about this build. It's just that like the Protoss has a lot of stuff they can do behind it. I can understand, like, if you're a Zerg player, saying that it's probably pretty triggering, but the Protoss gets a lot of flexibility in how they want to play into the later game, and I think that'll allow a good Protoss player like Chance to really be able to potentially dominate throughout this late game. And we do see some Ravagers here. He actually doesn't get anything there. What a... You know what, it was a nice try. I'll say that much. And he's actually going for Blink, which is interesting. Blink is normally not very good versus Zerg. Like, going Blink Stalkers is really not ideal unless, like, you're trying to react to, like, mutas or something. But he does have Disruptor, so it makes sense that he would be getting this. But this is a lot of units here, and a couple of these Disruptors getting picked off. The shots are whipping. Zerglings on top of all the Stalkers, and I think Chance just didn't do enough damage in this early game to allow himself to progress into this later stage. And we see Cham picking up a pretty clean game number 1. It looks like Cham really, after yesterday, just studied and found out, how do I beat this? Because he did lose a couple games to Chance doing that build. So he had a really good response that game. He didn't lose anything. So really clean game from Cham. So meanwhile, in the lower bracket, we got Pouch playing versus Psy. I expect Psy to win, but I don't really know anything about Pouch. He is a Masters 1 Zerg, so you know, I think there's definitely a chance he could beat Psy. It is the best of 3 for that match. Alright, so we're going to be getting into our next game here very shortly. Alright. So spawning down here in the bottom right, we have in the red, this is our Zerg player from Chivo. It is Cham. And top left in the blue, it is our Protoss player. It is Chance. My voice seems to be getting a bit better as we keep casting. I don't feel as much like I don't know, like a teenager anymore. I don't know like what my voice sounds like to everyone else, but I just like when I talk, I picture myself as like some like kid working at like fucking Burger King, like flipping the fries, pimples on his face, you know, that type of stuff. Yeah, again, I apologize for the bad audio quality of my voice. Not much I can do about it. I guess I could have just used text-to-speech software, this entire thing, like, just sat there, like, madly typing. And let Microsoft say I'm cast the game. So, pretty standard openings from both these players again. Nothing really to talk about. I think this is a bit of a better map for the Glaive Adept stuff. I think Simulacrum, especially the way Chain expanded last game, worked out pretty well for him. He was able to really just kind of keep those roaches like in between the natural and the third, and then whenever the adepts were seen, he could just rotate his units up to where they were needed. But in a map like this, it's going to be a bit harder because if you can have, say, like a couple of adepts over here, and then say your Warp Prism and some more adepts over here, and they're constantly shaded in, and then these ones are constantly shading into either the natural or the main, you need to keep two distinct groups of roaches to deal with that, right? Like, you would have to have one group like right here, and then you'd have to have another kind of like right here to deal with those, because if you just keep the roaches right here, well, he could shade into the main, and then shade into the third, and then you have to then split up and deal with them. So it would kind of force like an entirely different level of planning to deal with that, because Cham would have to make sure that he had split up his roaches in a way that was going to be able to defend all the adept pressure coming in. And this game we actually just see a Robo coming in. No Twilight Council. And just one adept here. And we see Cham just kind of playing pretty normally. Just getting his drones. He's gonna get it back on the gas after this. So I don't know if... we'll see what Cham has seen. Okay, so Cham really hasn't seen all that much. So he doesn't really know what's going on. I should really change the name of my bracket command. Everyone always does exclamation B, but in my very literal mind, I always just like think, oh hey, like I'll put the chat command to exclamation bracket, like people will understand that. But I guess like that's not the common way of doing things. Okay, so Roach Run on the way, and we do have a lot of gates coming up here for Chance. So I'm thinking this is probably going to be some sort of immortal like timing with some gateway units. No, sorry, I meant to mute there, but I didn't reach the keyboard in time. But anyways, sorry. Cham has seen this Warp Prism here from Chance. I think he did. Should be moving. Okay, he's getting the roaches out, so he'll be able to deal with it pretty quickly. Alright. It's a very HOTS-esque looking push here from our Zerg or Protoss player rather. Just Immortal Sentry hitting across the map. And it looks like Chance actually will get spotted by these Zerglings, so Cham should just know, like, straight Immortals on the production tab. He's probably going to need some more Ravagers. It's quite a lot of Lings though, and this could look pretty dicey for him here, as 2 Immortals and some good force fields can really work wonders here. Cham doing a really good job placing this forward support collar to try to deny any micro from this Warp Prism, but not a lot of units here from Cham. Queens are coming in from behind to try to help this out. Guardian Shield is going to deny a lot of damage from these Zerglings, and most of these force fields are finally gone, but behind this, Cham doesn't have a huge amount of units here to fight this with. More legs on the way. Some Zealots here to tank. Taking a pretty big bile hit, actually, is some of those Zealots. Only a couple sentries left. One gets taken out. Still, these two mortals basically untouched for this entire fight. Cham pulls some of the drones as he realizes that he can afford to lose a couple of them. And he's keeping most of this Roach Army alive. 6 drones have gone down, but now he's even on workers. He's going to be okay, I think, if he can just pick this up. That Warp Prism is going to get picked off by the Ravagers and Cham. Taking a quick game number 2. It's going to knock Chance down to the losers bracket there to play the winner of Psy versus Pouch. We'll have to see how their game has gone. Yeah, I think I'm going to go into Nightbot and change the name of those commands right now. It looks like Pouch and Psy are still in game. I don't know if they're in game number 1 or 2. So this could be a couple minutes. Yeah, I'll just be right back. I'm back. It looks like Pouch and Psy are still in their match. They had a long game. Yeah, so I think now is probably a perfect time to grab a snack or to, I don't know, find something better to do. That's probably going to be a while for these guys. I don't even know if they're in game 1 or 2. If they're obviously, like, if they're in game 1, I'll get in for game 2, but I'll have to wait and see. I've had such a fever today. I've been turning my but I've had like I don't know if that's normal, but like when you get like for me, like I get like a fever, and then like suddenly like I'll be really hot, and then like a couple minutes later I'll be really cold. So I'm just like constantly like either like opening my window and turning on my fan, or like grabbing a sweater and like turning everything off. Damn, they're still in the flipping game. 27 minutes. Alright, so it looks like Pouch actually just beat Sai 2-1. It's pretty impressive actually. So he'll move on to play versus Chance, and we'll get in on that. Or maybe he means Sai 1-2-1, I'm not sure. We'll wait and see what they put in the bracket. Okay, so Sai 1-2-1. That's still pretty impressive for him to take a game off Sai. Oh, just gotta wait here for Sai and Chance to do their vetoes. So another rematch. If you've watched any online tournaments, it's basically like the same, like group of 5 people are just gonna all be playing versus each other multiple times. We've had Cham and Sai had a rematch, or Cham and Chance rather had a rematch. Sai and Chance having another rematch they've played before. And thanks for tuning in, Uncommon. Appreciate you taking the time to instantly die. Unfortunately, I'm sitting here dying a slow, painful death. But that is my duty as a streamer. So we're going to be getting into our next series here pretty shortly. Yeah, Chance versus Sai. This should be a fun one. Sai is a pretty competent player, but Chance just really has like a solid decision making, and I think it's going to be hard for Sai to out mechanics him, as it seems like he's trying to do in all these matchups. I'm not sure what Sai's actual MMR is, I've talked to him before, because he's like really good. He's like, I get the feeling that he plays on KR, or Korea, to be specific. Um, so I don't know. I would say that he's probably like low grandmaster, mid grandmaster. Just like the way he plays is pretty. Uh, I think it looks very much like that. But I mean, I'm no expert. Oops. But anyways, getting into our game, we have up here in the top left, it's our Protoss player in the red. It is Chance. Bottom left in the green, it is our Terran player, it is Psy. Yeah, because I don't think his first language is English. So I'm not sure what I'm the Singapore server again. I wonder if Psy's from Singapore. Yeah, so but yeah, I mean, he's a really good player. He is listed as Korean on Alegulak and stuff like that. But every like Alegulak and Wikipedia both have him incorrectly labeled as a Protoss player, which is funny. There's quite a few players that are mistakenly labeled as Protoss on Alegulak and Wikipedia. I don't know, maybe that's just like me noticing, because I mainly check out Terran players as a Terran player myself. Pretty standard builds here for both these players. Chance going for his typical core before his Nexus. He's probably going to be going for his double adept. Now, we have seen Chance throw in a Stargate every now and then. I thought it looked extremely powerful when he did pull out the Stargate, but we'll have to see what he decides to go for. He seems to really gear towards playing the early like gateway styles until he can get himself solidified and then kind of transition into Disruptor DT. And we'll see at Twilight Council, so it will be that gateway style. We'll have to see how Psy decides to play here. He's playing safe with the bunker before the gas. So it's very likely that we'll see a 1-1-1. We'll have to see if he goes into a 3-1-1 or a third CC. Because we did see a third CC build from him in the first game that they played in their series. And I think 3CC builds can be good. But normally, like, you want to play 3CC versus Robo Openers. This time it's just going to be Twilight. Like, you kind of want the 3-1-1 versus Protoss when they're going for a gateway style, just because it lets you have more units to work with. And their economy is going to be not in a great spot while they're going for gateway style. And we actually see Psy playing extremely safe, even getting a Hellion, which is not uncommon, but it is pretty good to deal with these like early gateway starts. What did Psy see? Okay, so he did see the Twilight Council. Wait, this is okay. His Reaper is still alive. Will it survive? No. And he is continuing to build Hellions, so it wasn't just to deal with that. We might actually see him go for a Hellion drop, but he's sending these first two across the map. They can kill this Adept, but do they want to? I'm not quite sure about that. So we will get that one Adept, but he has revealed the fact that he has Hellions. And I think this might be a pretty early push. We've seen, I know Braddock has a build kind of like this, where you push of a lot of Marines and Hellions. But looks like this one's going to be a bit different, as it looks like he's actually going to try to drop into the... Oh my god, he's dropping behind it while the Hellions try to get in. But with this gateway style blink opener, we will see a lot of stalkers being produced here. These Marines actually can get a decent trade on with some of these stalkers. But I'm not quite sure if this is worth it for our Terran player. He lost quite a lot of units for that. What does he have behind us? And behind us he does have a 3-1-1 setup, but his the fact that he's getting a Raven behind us is going to delay some of his tech here, so Stim and those combat shields are going to be a bit late. It's not like insanely so, but it's probably like a good maybe 10-15 seconds late, and that could mean a big difference versus a player like Chance. And we even see Chance trying to move across the map to try to counterattack. We do have one tank and the second one on the way. Bunker up the natural and a decent amount of Marines. So I don't think it's going to take too much damage, but we'll have to wait and see. Looks like Chance maybe thinking about jumping up into the main. It's not going to turn out too well with two tanks though. Gonna try to pick off one of these tanks. He will lose a lot of stalkers for it and an observer. And I think that's perfectly fine if you're in size position. Third base is already up here for a Protoss player. He's still on 3 gases, so he's going to keep with this gateway style for quite a while. And eventually transition out, but... we'll probably see... is that tank? No, tank's not shot. It's fine. Once these two medevacs come out, we should see Psy heading across the map. And you can see what I said, like, normally this push, it would be heading out around, like, 6:05, but instead this push is heading out around 6:35, so it's a good 30 seconds late, because he had to get out that tank, and his stim and combat shields aren't even done yet. So it looks like he's gonna try to push out. You will see, these stalkers will see him trying to push out. He has 10 zealots back at home, and charge just finished. +1 attack actually on the way. No armor here for a Protoss player. So this could come in, or become quite an issue actually. Generally you want that armor for those zealots. So these Marines might actually have a good time trading versus them, but there's a lot of sentries here to Guardian Shield. And he has a lot of stalkers, or zealots rather. He's getting his 4th base pretty early too, about 20 seconds earlier than you might normally see. And this is kind of unusual for Chance. Normally Chance kind of plays a bit of a lower eco game. Now meanwhile, while we have this push heading out on the map, there's a War Prism dropping into the main of some zealots. Reinforcements should be able to hold this off, as there is a couple units at the natural there. But meanwhile, Chance is also going for a counterattack here towards the 3rd base location. And it will force this CC to cancel and lift off. It might I don't even think it can get out now. Chance hasn't reacted quickly enough. He's going to try to move in here and get some damage done while he can. And this is kind of turning into... it's not really a base race, but just kind of like a... I don't even know what to call it. Just like a damage race. Both players trying to get critical damage done versus each other. Sai has lost almost all of his SCVs, these zealots in the main base, and his army has been pretty much cleaned up by the reinforcements here from Chance. He's going to jump right on top of all these tanks, and while these Marines have decent upgrades versus these zealots, there's just too many units here for Sai to deal with, and I think that's going to be it for this game. As, I mean, 12 to 58 workers is not a great place to be in, even with the best drop micro. GG's gonna get called. Chance gonna take game number 1 in pretty convincing fashion. It is a best of 3, so one more game to go, potentially. Chances always looked very solid versus Sai. I'm really not surprised to see this result, as I think Sai is a very good player, but he just doesn't have that same like killer instinct that Chance has. We're loading into our next map right now, Nightshade. Alright, sorry about that. So spawning in here in the bottom right, we have in a red. It's our Protoss player, just Chance. And in the top left, we have in a green. It's our Terran player, Psy. Both these players teamless right now. I think Chance would be an amazing pickup, actually, for any team. I don't know what Chance is asking, but kind of surprised he hasn't been picked up by someone. The amount of hours this guy gets on stream, you know, with some decent exposure there for your team. I wonder if Alpha X will pick him up. They seem to be the new powerhouse as far as that goes. Pretty standard openness from both our players again. I can't say I've seen side cheese yet, which I think can be a bit of an issue with this play. I think sometimes you gotta throw out a cheese just so that the Protoss player is, you know, willing to look for proxies, or, you know, at least not play like super greedy. Like, as we've kind of seen, like even in that last game, like Chance felt perfectly fine taking that really early third base around like 7:15. And it's because we don't really see any like 2-base all-ins from Psy like in any of these games. He basically just plays completely standard, either doing the 3-1-1 into a later third, or the 1-1-1 into a third. And when you do that, like I think it just means that the Protoss player can really feel free to play as greedy as they want. Chance opening up with his usual build of T-Depths. Behind us, we don't have any building coming up yet. I don't see. Oh, there you go. So gonna open up with a Robo. So interested to see if Psy is able to scout this. I don't think he will be able to. Oops, sorry about that. He will get this Reaper out alive for now, but I'm not sure if he's gonna be able to scout that Robo in time. Because normally, like if you see the Robo like that, you tend not to go for a 3-1-1 opener as much, just because it can be really easily deflected by a Colossus with some gateway units. So it really just isn't as strong. Like, you can still go for it. I'm not saying that it's not viable, but it can be much better to go for an early third. And he will get the scout off that there is a Robo facility out. So there's going to be observers coming out for now. Behind this, he just has his 1-1-1 coming up now. Looks like he's opting for a Woodman drop. And he's just going to go for a 3-1-1. Which, I mean, like, as I said, plenty of people still go for this. It's perfectly fine. I just think it sometimes might be nice to opt in with the third CC. He's actually getting a Viking instead, so he's actually not going for this drop, which is interesting. Might just be a bit worried about what could be coming his way, because a lot of times with these Robo openings, you can't actually see like a lot of different strats. Like some Protoss players have been opening up with like Disruptor, Colossus drops. You can just open up with like a Depths or something like that, or just any sort of you know, maybe like a charge lot timing or something. Of course, like, he might have not noticed, or not necessarily not noticed, but he might have not scouted Twilight Council in his opinion. So he doesn't know quite what it's going to be yet. So he's just going to opt for that Viking first. Gonna try to actually hunt down the Warp Prism if it's out there. It's not on his side of the map just yet. We actually will see a Colossus drop. Sorry. So Chance has scouted this Woodman drop. So now this is something that I think is good to see, is Chance actually, or Psy, sorry, going for this Woodman drop, even though it's a bit delayed. When you have your opponent going for a Robo opening like this, like as we can see, like there's not a huge amount of gateway units, and he's had to split them up quite evenly. So if there was any way to get into the base, like you could find a lot of damage. That's my point. And a bit of a delayed third base here from our Protoss player, as Colossus drop 8 cheap. We'll get into the main base, nothing to scout it just yet, so we'll be able to pick off quite a lot of SCVs. Colossus do quite a lot of damage to late units, of course. So 2 SCVs go down, 3 so far. He's gonna have to pull the units up from the main. Stim is not done yet, neither is combat shields. So these Marines are gonna be very squishy versus this, as you can see, getting 2 shot by the Colossus in many cases. And at prism speed, there's absolutely no way that you can fight this with unstimmed bio. You really just need the Viking back home, and I'm not quite sure where that Viking is. It looks like it actually died. So this Colossus has done quite a bit of work. He's kept his side of the map. He does have stim right now though, and behind this, actually I don't see any more Colossus being produced. So drop it like right on top of this prism and hope he's trying to catch it out. I think that's what he's trying to do right now. So, but I don't know. I just think it's really tough to ever catch the speed prism. It's just gonna keep coming back in here and getting a lot of damage done. I think as I like what Sai's doing, just heading across the map, because I don't think realistically that there's anything you can do about this. You just have to get a couple more others to try to chase it down with some Vikings. It looks like he will come in here for a drop. No units in position here, so you actually can get some damage done, especially if these mines grow and get a connection. No connection just yet. Actually, one mine shot goes off and a single probe. So Medevacs will get out, and they have killed a couple of SCVs, or probes rather, so. And I think Chance, or Sai rather, is fine with this. And behind us, we actually have him taking a third base on location. Now, of course, this still is a bit later than our Protoss player here. And he's going to have to do something to kind of catch back up in this game. Not to mention the fact that counterattacks from Chance are going to be an increasingly increased threat as this game progresses, as he does have the prism speed. So anytime at all, he can just head in there and warp in some charge lots and wreak havoc. Sai has some of his units out on the map. He's getting his 4th and 5th racks up now. Pretty move out here from our Protoss player now. And Sai just doesn't really have, I think, a big enough army to deal with this. Not enough units really. What was over here? Oh, it's a Widowman. There's also a lot of probes in this game actually. 19 go down so far. These drops actually come in here. They will get picked off. Can he get these out potentially? Oh, if Chance had been on top of that blink, he might have been able to get that last medevac. But a really good save there from Sai. Able to keep some more of his units alive. Just coming in here, fighting some of these outs. He does a +1/+1 versus them. And they only have +1 attack at the moment. So some of these units are going to be kind of weak. Really big one of my hits going off, killing a lot of those sentries. So it's going to be a lot of the force fields gone from this army. But he's going to have to back off. I don't think he can fight this army head on just yet. Reinforcements coming up. But more units here from Chance. Charge loss coming on top of this bio, but that's a lot of Protoss down below. And this free base timing is pretty strong from our Protoss player. And that's going to be it. Chance is going to take a clean 2-0 victory over our Terran player. And now we're going to move on to our finals. It's going to be a best of 5 between Sham and Chance. Cham's going to start with a 1-0 advantage because of the loser bracket. Okay, while we're waiting for them to get ready, I'll just quickly open my screen here. So yeah, this is all the names for all the people who have played so far and not gotten a walkover. So we'll just be rolling a random name to see who can win for the $10. And our winner actually is Pouch. So yeah, I'll send it off to Eddie and then he will deal with that. Just probably, if you're not in the OSC Discord, I'd probably recommend joining that, because I'm not quite sure how they hand out the participation money. You might need to join the match arena as well, I'm not sure. But anyways, it's good for that. And then meanwhile, our game here is actually going to be loading up. So perfectly timed. Alright, so starting our grand finals off, we have in the top left, in the red, it is our Zerg player from Chivo, it is Cham. And in the bottom right, we have in the blue, it is our Teamless Protoss player, it is Chance. So I'm interested to see what can happen this time. Just making sure. I think it's really going to be up to Chance to bust out some interesting builds here to deal with Cham. I haven't seen them play a straight up macro game really yet. Like, it's every single game has been some sort of 2-base aggression into a third or into an all-in. So I haven't quite seen just like a typical macro blade, Jesus, I can't speak, build from our Protoss player. And I don't think that's going to change anytime soon. So nothing really worth talking about so far from both these guys. Just same old, same old. It's also interesting to note that both Cham and Chance are both pretty good friends. They seem to have quite a wholesome banter back and forth. They always call each other friend, which I think is very sweet. So, of course, these guys do play each other quite a bit in these tournaments. It'd be really wholesome, actually, if Chivo picked them up. I could use them as, like, a best friend, like, combo or something. It'd be an interesting marketing gimmick. And First Adept heading across the map now. Twilight Council following this up. Is it in? It's kind of in the main. It's not really that hidden. So this could just be a pretty... Alright, never mind. It is going to be this Glaive Adept opener. As this is Chance's bread and butter, really. Shade comes in and does check out the drone counts. Nothing really crazy to look for from our Zerg player. And there's our Glaive Adepts. Now, in our last series between these two, we've seen that Cham had a super solid response to that build. So I'm not quite sure how this is going to turn out. I don't think it's going to go well for Chance, so I can tell you that. sorry. Sorry about that. Lair and Roach Roar on the way here, so again, the same response you've seen. It's gonna go for Roaches, get the Roach speed, and then just split them up and try to deal with that harassment. And we'll have to see what our Protoss player is gonna throw in after that. As I mentioned in the last series, even though this build is very committed on 2 bases, it's not an all-in. Like, the Protoss player has a lot of potential after this is over to do something else. We've seen Chance unsuccessfully go for a 3rd base a couple games. We've seen him do some pretty powerful all-ins. So it seems to me that Chance's best, I guess, best chance here is to probably go for a 2 base all-in off of this. But it's hard to tell because Cham has been able to respond so well to this build. I'm not sure if it's really going to be that worth it, you know? He's doing a really good job picking off some of this larva. Could have picked off that roach. Looks like he will get the queen at least. Oh my god, really bad shade actually. Shades right into an oncoming pack of Zerglings and some roaches. He will trade it for some of these lings. But really this is not what Chance had in mind. He had been hoping that there was no units in position to deal with that. And behind this we can see that Cham hasn't taken any drone damage from this. He's kept at 47 for quite a while. He's just been mass producing roaches. And behind this we see Chance trying to go for a 3rd base again. It's very likely that after this is all said and done, Cham just heads across the map and slaps Chance for even trying to take a 3rd base. Because the depth pressure is just not working. There's roaches in perfect position everywhere. Chance hasn't been able to find an in. I think, has this overload?
Swarm forces under attack.
So he hasn't actually seen the sphere base, so he doesn't know that it's on the way just yet. But he might suspect it, considering that he hasn't seen any more units moving across the map. And especially, like, I think if Chance was going for a 2 base all-in, you would have seen much more committed pressure with those adepts. But he has to be spending this money somewhere, and Sham kind of deduces that he's probably getting a 3rd base. So when those adepts gets picked off, a lot of roaches here. They're pressuring at a couple different points here. Good force fields can keep these roaches off the high ground, but you can't be at 2 places at once here. You will get a decent amount of force fields off here, but there's just not a whole lot of units here to really deal with this, and it's getting flanked from both sides. I don't think the Chance is really going to be able to hold on here. And it looks like Cham will be heading on to a game number 2, or rather, again, I guess I should just call it 3. Yeah, GG's called. Really convincing game by Cham. He really has that build on lockdown, it seems. Alright, so we're going to be getting into our second game here very shortly. I was muted for that whole intro. But, I mean, it's just the intro, who cares? Anyway, I'll be right back. Alright. I'm back in action. Sorry about that. Yeah, so I mean, early PvZ, don't really miss much. Both players still playing their same old game. And Twilight Council first here for Chance. So likely we see that Robo follow-up for this Adept opener again. I really wonder what it is that makes Chance really like this build so much. Like, I think it has a lot of potential, sure, but it just seems to me that Cham has it figured out. I think if I was Chance, I would just throw something new out, you know, or something old, you know, maybe just go for an Archon drop, maybe go for a Stargate opener. There's a lot of things you can do in this matchup, and I find it very interesting to see that Chance has just been playing the same game every game, and it just hasn't been working. And now Cham gets a complete full scout off here, so he knows exactly what's going to be happening again. I mean, these two Adepts actually be quite annoying, getting 3 drone kills, and one of them at least will be able to get away. But he's actually changing things up. I thought for sure it was going to be the Adept build, but this time it's actually going to be what looks to be an Archon drop. So I guess Chance taking my advice. He is going to be playing the style, of course. Like, we don't really see this that much anymore. He's definitely not going to get a lot of damage done with it because like part of it was scouted. So Cham knows it's going to be some sort of drop. Just doesn't. He probably presumes it's going to be Adepts, especially seeing the first 2. He even heads out preemptively at the timing too, which I think is really cool. Like, normally you probably wouldn't head out this early because this Dark Shrine's not done yet. But he heads out a bit early. And this can work wonders too, especially if Cham has cut any corners here. And we actually see there's no spore crawlers on the map. He's just been pure roach. He has a lair, mind you, so he can get overseers. But if these DTs get in at every base, you know, does Cham see them? I think that was a bit of a waste to do it like that. I think if I was, I hate to say if I was Chance because it's really fucking cringy and dumb. At least he gets the second base, or the third base rather. He can get up into the main if he really wants to. He's really showing a lot of respect to Cham to just assume that he has all of his detection in place. But if he'd gotten there a bit earlier, he could have gotten a lot of damage done. But now he gave Cham the time he needed. Overseers are out, spores are in place, and now his opponent's on 2 bases. And now we actually see Cham going for a 2-base Spire. So probably, I mean, obviously it's gonna be fucking meters with that. But this can be tough because you know, when you're putting opponents with an Archon drop like this, they have Archons at their disposal, and Archons can do very well versus Midas. And I'm not sure if Cham really has enough resources in the bank to make enough Midas to just completely overwhelm. We'll have to wait and see. These two Archons just getting a bit of damage done here, killing a couple roaches. And I love to see Cham, or Chance rather, responding this way, just changing fix up. And this game seems to be working out pretty well for him, and he's actually going for a timing push this time. So Cham actually might be caught a bit with his pants down as he's trying to go for, was trying to go for mutas, so his the amount of work units he has out right now is pretty low, actually. So he's definitely going to lose his third base again. Yeah, if he steps forward too far, he's going to get hit by a pretty nasty force field. A lot of bios coming down, nothing really hitting. Roach speed is almost done. There's a decent amount of Roach Ravager, and it looks like Chance actually just trying to kind of push this advantage here. Just try to get a quick win. But that's a lot of Roach and Ravagers. And I'm not sure if Chance really needs to do this, like. But we'll see how this turns out. A lot of Roaches and Ravagers kind of in the back here. They have a good concave, but this is a lot of Protoss following this up, and we do have a lot of Guardian Shield available to Immortals in the mix right now. But some of their shots are getting wasted on these drones. There's still a lot of Roaches and Ravagers in the back. Reinforcements coming in here, getting warped in by this Warp Prism. 2 Immortals still remain, and Chance takes the game off of Cham. Really nicely done. Chance is a fighting chance in this match. Haha. I'm going for this game too. Oops. And we're loading into our second game, this is our fourth game. I'm completely out of it. Fourth game right now. Alright. Starting us off in the bottom left is our third player in the red. It's Cham. And his opponent, finally able to take a game, is our blue Protoss player, Chance. I really liked how he was able to pull out a new build, or rather an old build, to surprise his opponent. And now he actually has a shot in this series, I think. I'm interested to see what he's going to do this time. We haven't seen him bust out any, like, really cheese either. Like, no cannon rushes, no proxies. I wonder how Chance can play Protoss and act like such a honorable player. I don't understand. I'm interested to see too if we'll see Cham bust out any cheese. In the last series that these guys had played, Cham won the game, or won the series rather, with a really nicely timed main lane bust that caught Cham by surprise, or Chance rather by surprise. He was able to was playing a victory, and Cham caught him off guard. So I'd be interested to see if Cham can bring anything like that out, but as I've said before, it just doesn't really fit Cham's style to play like that constantly. Sorry, I just had a bit of a coughing fit there. And a robo opener this time. So I'm not quite sure what this is going to be. Is this going to be another Immortal Sentry timing that we've seen? Cham or Chance, sorry. They have such similar names. Like they both have the CHA. It's really hard for my slow brain to differentiate them. But anyways, our proudest player has shown a likeness for these Immortal Sentry timers, and we do see him building the Sentry right away. Now, I don't really know what Cham has seen overall in his opponent's base. I don't know what he can see to deduce what type of build is coming. It's hard for him to sack the Overlord on this map because he needs to go all the way around. And might even get spotted by some of this stuff. I don't know if he's visible there. No. So he should be able to get around. What the hell are we watching? And he's getting the forge. He's doing a really good job trying to deny this Overlord scout. It looks like it will survive. So is this just going to be a +1 timing? I think so. I'm not sure what +1 really does for the Protoss though, like obviously. Like, I wonder what the advantage is in waiting for this. So you see him just heading across the map with his first Immortal in a prison. Looks like he's just getting a nice increased spread here. And try to pick off some of these units, but there's a lot of roaches here, so I'm not going to be able to find too much damage. It's going to be able to deny a lot of this creep though, and not really much the Protoss can do, but, or the Zerg rather, can do about that. A lot of sentries being built here. Twilight Council on the way. So I'm so confused, especially with, oh sorry, didn't mean to hit my mic there. I'm getting too energetic. So anyways, with this Twilight Council, he is going to be taking a third base, so it doesn't look like it's going to be Immortal Sentry timing. In this game anyways. He's getting Blink. There's a lot of roaches on the map though, and Cham's drone count's not looking too bad. It could be very likely that if he isn't careful, that Cham just heads across the map and tries to punish him for taking his third. I don't know if Cham has seen this third base, so he's aware that that's there. And he's building a lot of roaches still, sticking on 54 workers. It's very likely he wants to hit a timing here. And I mean, I think if you're Chance and you see this, that you should know what's up. Like, you should know that there's something coming your way. But Chance's drone count is pretty low as well, actually. He hasn't been building anymore, which I think is pretty smart. He's going to focus entirely on defense here. I think he needs that prism back at home. It's pretty ballsy to be keeping this out on the map. And he has a decent amount of stalkers, but that's a large amount of roaches. And to fight them in this open field like this, I'm not quite sure. Cham's going to get a big arc on him. I think he really just needs to pull back. Force fields are coming down here pretty good, but a lot of Ravagers here are able to cancel out a lot of these force fields. There's 4 Immortals in the mix here actually, and they are going to get pulled back, but that's an insane amount of roaches. All the stalkers are going down, and it looks like Chan may be able to take this, as he just has an overwhelming amount of roaches, but still, this Warp Prism with some Immortals is quite a threat here. Chan might just want to wait for some reinforcements here before he really goes in. And this is all the Immortals we have right now. We can't really afford to be making any more. It's just continually warping in. But this has been so far a pretty solid defense, I think, from Cham. Or Chance, rather. Really realizing how that he needs to cut his probes. But still, there's a lot more roaches coming in. He's going to try to micro back these Immortals in the Warp Prism. Of course, the boss hitting some of these stalkers. One of Immortals does go down. A lot of Ravagers still alive. But Chance still in this game. More Lings coming in here, trying to get on top of some of these Immortals. He's constantly pulling back, and this is really a back and forth game here. Chance does have Blink. He kind of messed up a bit there and took a lot of damage. He's down to 1 Immortal now, and a bunch of Stalkers. I think maybe Cham has finally been able to start the beginning of the end. If it as it were. Still a lot of Ravagers, but the unit counts are still very low. Cham trying his best here to pick off these Immortals. Some of them are getting really low. What did it kill? 15 on this Immortal. I can't tell what the other one is, though, because it's in a prism. But it's the constant reinforcements. Drone count for Cham is still pretty good. He's on 4 bases. Sorry. 15 on this. Only 3 on the other, so I think that one's still pretty new. But another really nice looking fight here from Cham. He's able to push forward, a lot of reinforcements coming in here, and I think just this constant flood of roaches will eventually break Chance here. Even with really good Prism Micro, there's only so many units you can build. Only so many times you can lift up these Immortals. Shield batteries have finished, but they're getting quickly drained of energy. All the Immortals going down, 1 left. But that one is very, very low. And now there's Zerglings actually getting in there and killing the reinforcements. I think this looks to be the end of our series here. And I believe Cham is going to win. He's going to take home the prize of this tournament, which I think is not too surprising. Cham really showcasing some solid play. What did I... God damn it. Right. Okay, so that's gonna be... What was it? It's gonna be it for us today. I already did the raffle for the winner before the series started, so Pouch actually won that raffle. I'll be sending it off to Eddie. And yeah, thanks everyone for participating. Hope everyone enjoyed. Have a good night, everyone.